Hello and welcome to the first episode of a brand new football series called Without Having Kicked a Ball. Now usually the premise of the show will be to discuss the 4 football leagues. That's the Premier League, the Championship, League One and League Two. But for this first episode we look back at UEFA EURO 2024, which of course the final was England v Spain, and Spain beat England by 2-1. And we have our panel to give their insights, their thoughts, and to share their point of view. And who's on our panel, you ask? Well, we have Jordan Lee Eartham, aka JLIWheels, Robbie Broomhall, and Sam Taylor. There's only one place to start for this first show, and 2 days after the Euros final, it was announced that after 8 years, Gareth Southgate had decided to step down as England manager. Gareth at first was under 21s manager, but then stepped in initially on a temporary basis after Sam Allardyce was forced to resign. Sam Allardyce of course replaced Roy Hodgson after he resigned when England were knocked out of Euro 2016 by Iceland. So what are your thoughts on the decision for Gareth to resign?
Well, I personally think it's the right decision for him to step down, as I feel like he probably couldn't took that team any further than he could with how many tournaments has he done? 1, 2, 3, 4, is it? 4 tournaments and 1 quarter-final, 2 semi-finals, 3 semi-finals and 2 finals. I feel like it's been enough for him. I feel like if he did any more for England, he would just I don't think he can cope with the pressure anymore, and I feel that the time is right now to step down, and he could be very proud of himself of how well he's done under the England management, and how well he's done with the team that he's had.
It's a job
I think...
Oh, sorry, George. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. I was just going to say, I think I completely agree with everything. I mean, it's one of those, again, where... to be honest, he's been an England manager so long that I don't really remember a lot of the kind of initial opinions when he first came in. But I think a lot of it was, he's the FA's yes man, and he's gonna, it'll be another, disappointment. But you can't argue with how we've done and what we've done, and not only the development of players for England, but also the development of, I think, Europe and the world's opinions on on England as a team, and kind of like, I don't know. I just think that him being manager has transformed the England national team on a positive. But I do think it's worth saying that things have gone stale, and as sad as I am about it, I think Rob is right. I think it's probably the right time, and yeah, I'd be sad to see him go. Very interested to see what his next move is, let alone England. And
I personally think he'll take time away from football for a bit, at least a year. I feel like he'll just take the time away from football and maybe just do the odd punditry on maybe like your BBC Match of the Day or your BT or something. I don't feel like he would go straight back into coaching or your management. I don't think.
Yeah, because I think obviously what's going on will have hurt him a lot. A lot more than we had Roy Hodgson, who was manager, who obviously is English but never played for England, never was there. Sam Allardyce the same. Capello was Italian. Sven was Swedish. Like, it's this is something. Like the kind of relationship between the players and the manager and the fans is something that we haven't had in our lifetime. Of we had Sven and we had Steve McLaren and we had all the managers we've had. Gareth is something completely different, and I do think he will take an extended period because it will hurt him really badly. It'll hurt him more than most.
I mean, it's a job of huge pressure, isn't it?
Yeah.
And do you think that pressure has probably got to him?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like he can't take that pressure anymore with everyone on his back. The way the team played this tournament, way I feel like the pressure is truly getting to him, and he can't take any more of that pressure into the next tournament. I feel like he is getting saddened by the media, the press, your pundits, and I feel like he can't do any more for the players than he's already done in the last 8 years. I feel like he's give all he can give, if you know what I mean. He can't give any more than he already has give.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. I think me and Rob were talking about it earlier on off air. Earlier on today, and I kind of made the point that like one of the hardest things with the England job, excuse me, is one of the hardest things with the England job is kind of the English fan pressure, and this kind of thing that's developed because, by the way, it's developed because of the success that we've had under Gareth, in part, that we kind of have this divine right to get as far as we have been getting in tournament. And I think that the weight of that must be absolutely unbearable.
Yeah.
Like, ridiculous. The only thing I could possibly think that's the same would be something like maybe France with Deschamps. Obviously, a World Cup winning player as well as manager. But then again, I don't think there's anybody really in Europe, apart from somewhere like Turkey. I don't think there's anywhere that's so football crazy as England. So it really is a unique job and experience for the players and obviously for Gareth as well.
Right. Okay. And the question is,
Sorry, but one thing I will say, going is that I have, as a person, always respected Gouty, as Jordan knows. I haven't really given him slaughter like you see on the social media and the pundits and the media. I actually respected for Southgate for what he actually did, and I always supported him as a manager, even though his tactics weren't great. I always supported him because he brought that togetherness to England, something that we haven't had for years.
Yeah, I don't feel like I've been massively disrespectful towards him either. I feel like we are a couple of England fans who aren't like the majority, who have just enjoyed the ride. And yeah, all right, I do think that it's difficult to watch us put absolutely batter teams in qualifying and then just not turn up in the tournament. But that's this tournament. That's what people forget. That's this tournament. And in some respects, the World Cup was kind of the same. We didn't do great in the group stage. We battered Senegal in the round of 16 and then went out to France, which, by the way, was a very, very positive performance. And we were unlucky that Kane missed the pen. And also there was a penalty that should have been given that wasn't given. Or could have been given on another night, excuse me. So,
That's what I was trying to think. The bloke has, Gareth Southgate, doesn't matter if he's been boring. In his early years, he was very exciting, as I said to you earlier. And in the last 8 years, he's beaten some of the biggest teams in the world, and that's what people forget. He's beaten Germany twice, once in a friendly and once in a qualifier. He beat Italy twice. He beat the Netherlands,
Spain,
once, drew against Spain as well. He's beaten some of the biggest teams in the world. And people completely forget about that. They just think, look, he's been shit against the smaller teams. That's it, he's shit. People forget the teams that bloke's actually played with his teams, not just himself, because it's his team game as well. And I've actually gone out there and beat them teams. That's what people forget. And how we've beat them. When we played exciting football, that's when we played these teams and actually beat them really well and beat them on and off the pitch.
right. Okay. And so the question is, of course, Southgate came from the under-21s. Do you think the FA should be looking there to appoint his successor?
I'll go first. I personally don't know on that question. I couldn't tell you. I haven't seen the under-21s play that much. I've seen them once or twice, and I don't know much about this, what's his name, Lee Carler, is it, or something?
Lee Carsley.
Lee Carsley, that's it. I don't know much about him. So I'm on the fence about it. If it happens, I'll see how it goes and I'll try and support the club as best as I can. If it doesn't, we just go somewhere different and try and find another manager. Like I've heard Graham Porter maybe being one of the managers. What I do think is going to happen, though, I don't think we'll go outside England and go and get a fortune manager, you know what I mean? Someone from Europe. I feel like it'll be an English manager. I personally think that, though. I don't think we'll go to Europe and get a top-notch, who's won it all kind of guy.
Right, okay.
No, but...
George, your thoughts?
Yeah, sorry. So I do think, again, I've seen the Lee Carsley rumour. I think it would be typical England and typical FA to choose him. But I think that one thing that we have seen, well, or something that we saw a little bit, let's say, because there were also examples of it not really working out, but examples of also our method working out in a way as well, because Southgate was an FA's choice and worked with the underage groups. And yeah, all right, we still got to the final. People have got to respect that. But then, and the Spanish manager was working with Spain's under-19s and under-21s as well. So that does work. Excuse me. But then one thing that I do think that we saw was I actually think that the best coached team overall, not the best team playing wise, but the best coach team was actually Germany. Now, what they obviously did was they took Julian Nagelsmann from Bayern Munich.
Yes.
And they played really well. I think there's a lot to be said for bringing in a good club manager like Graham Potter, like Rob said. I've even seen Eddie Howe linked. That wouldn't be the worst choice.
Yeah, Jason Tyndall is former assistant manager at Bournemouth as well, who's now the manager of Bournemouth, linked as well. I've seen.
Jason Tyndall is the assistant manager at Newcastle, not the manager. Just to tell you.
No. I meant I thought he managed Bournemouth.
No, he did. He doesn't now.
Oh, sorry. Right. Okay. Apologies.
I personally don't think the FA will go for Eddie Howe, but I know he's one of the favourites. I feel like he won't step down from a full-time Newcastle job to go to the England job. That's my personal.
The question is, which do you think is the most pressure and consuming of jobs? Do you think day-to-day club management, or do you think an international manager? Which one? Which of the two?
I think day-to-day club management is more stressful, but I think in the big occasions, i.e., tournaments and stuff, I think there's nothing quite like being an international manager.
Right.
I don't think there's more. I don't think there's more pressure on an international manager, like Jordan said, when it comes to tournaments, because literally everyone's looking at you. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's reading about you. Everyone's saying anything and everything about you. When it comes to the league manager, they've got to do it day in, day out. But not everyone's looking at you. Do you know what I mean? Not unless you're a fan of that club, if you get me.
Like if you're a fan of, I get you.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you're a fan of Newcastle, you're going to keep up of Eddie Howe. If you say you're a certain fan like Manchester United, we won't be looking at Eddie Howe. Do you know what I mean? You won't be talking about every 5 seconds. It will just be a certain bunch of people and certain people in the club. Do you understand what I mean? But like I say, in the international level, everyone's looking at you. Everyone's eyes is on you. Do you know what I mean? Constantly, all during that tournament. Everyone has a say on you. So I suppose it is harder to be an international manager. But the day-to-day stuff, the day-to-day general job of sorting your team out, your training methods and your tactics during games and that, I suppose it is generally harder because you're constantly on the go every week for 9 months.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Because I think there's things about a club manager that's harder than an international manager, but there's things about being an international manager that's harder than being a club manager, for
Yeah,
sure. I think that I don't know. I think overall, like you said, we could sit here and argue that all day about club management over international management.
Right, okay. Well, later I will ask you about who you want to take over as England manager, but now I want to move on to the Euros, General. I mean, forgetting England, what have you both made of these Euros?
Rob?
Overall, on the phone, it's still got my phone, but overall, it's been a good tournament. Overall, I think you've seen some very dull games, but you've also seen some very exciting games with very exciting young prospects that will do well in the next few years. I feel like at the start of the tournament, though, the VAR was very, very stupid to give some of the decisions that they actually gave. They were very, very awful, especially some of the handballs that you've seen and just some of the offsides that you've seen and just some of the general fouls. But as the tournament got on, I feel like the VAR got better. So you could pick at it at the start of the tournament that the video assistant referee was actually awful, but he picked up over the course of the tournament. But as the football on the football pitch and the football, if you watch some games, they were dire. If you watch some of the other games, they were absolutely brilliant, and you could pick out some of the best goals, some of the best football played, whether it was defensive duties or your attacking duties. Some of the best football I've seen for a very long time, especially Italy. Even though they didn't get through, Italy when I first watched them looked absolutely brilliant at one point, and I thought they were gonna win it. And who else? Germany was another one. Germany did look like a good side, and one of my favourite sides to watch were Georgia because they just played their hearts out every single game. And I watched that Portugal game, and they absolutely played them off the park, and which was a really big surprise considering what kind of team Portugal have compared to the Georgia team. And they were one of my teams to watch. Georgia were during the tournament because of how well they played.
And from
Yeah,
Georgia...
yeah. I mean,
sorry,
George. It's all right. For me, I think you talk about the tournament as a whole. I think the biggest thing to say about the tournament was the amount of big teams that kind of underperformed. I agree with, for me, I coming into the tournament, it looked like Germany or France or Italy for me.
But at the end, as games went on, they started to deteriorate as a team and got more awful as the tournament went on.
Yeah.
Because the teams at the start of the tournament just looked like, hang on, they're going to go all the way to the final. One of these teams and probably lift the trophy.
Yeah, definitely. I think like standout teams, like Rob said, Georgia, just no fear, so refreshing, just brilliant. I thought Slovakia were really interesting and something a bit different.
The other one I mentioned, sorry, Jordan, was Romania. Romania were a bit.
Romania was good. Yeah, I didn't even think the Ukraine were that bad. I think, in fact, like, it's something to talk about. The fact that there were teams that got 3 points and finished third place and got through, and yet Ukraine, who finished bottom of the Belgium, Romania, and Netherlands group. Was it Netherlands? No. Who else was in that group? Belgium, Romania.
Hungary won it.
No, that was Germany's group. Belgium. Oh, come on. It's gone out of my head. Belgium, Romania, Slovakia, and Ukraine all finished on 4 points. Now, for me, even though they finished bottom, I think it should be points based. I think Ukraine should have gone through. That being said, I think Slovenia took their opportunity as third place really well. For example, third place in our group and took Portugal right to the wire, and they're very unlucky to not get through. Yeah. And again, like Rob said, a ton of really impressive young players. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams a little bit later on. But also people like the Italian centre-back Calafiori, who is about to move to Arsenal, apparently. We might get into transfers later on, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I also think Kobe Mainoo had a fantastic tournament. A little bit older but still young players in terms of like Cole Palmer, Mark Gahey, Donnarumma again. Donnarumma, 23, 24, still unbelievable.
If Italy didn't have him in their side, they would have got slaughtered most of their games, to be honest, because a lot of teams had shots on target against them.
Yeah, I agree. So I think overall, I think most of the big teams, including England, didn't play very well. But, and in the end, I do think it's worth saying that the best team won overall. But I would say it has been a good tournament. I think, all right, the quality of some of the matches has been pretty poor. But I think it's the ones that people probably didn't tune into that were the ones that had the best quality. I think one of the games of the tournament was that Georgia-Turkey game.
Did Germany put on a show, do you think? As a country?
Yeah. I think it's different from, you've got to think. A lot of people didn't go to the World Cup in Qatar because it was in December and it was in Qatar.
And for obvious issues, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't go to Euros games because COVID. But again, people still did go. So this is the first tournament in about 4 or 5, since 2018, really, the football atmosphere has really well and truly been back.
Full capacity and crowds, yeah.
You look on social media and you see a lot of really amazing clips and videos and things of experiences. Yeah, you see a lot of not so good ones as well. But I think all in all, good tournament, good place to have it. I don't know. There's not much to say about it really, because not a lot has been made of Germany as a place, whereas obviously a lot was made of Qatar, a lot was made of Russia. When it was in Russia, there was a lot of stories going around about Brazil when it was the Brazil World Cup. There's not been a lot said really about Germany as a place during this tournament. I don't know whether anybody else has heard anything, but I certainly haven't.
No, I don't think. No, I've not heard anything.
I think it's the countries you mentioned before, they were very controversial. You know what I mean? Germany's not exactly the most controversial thing to talk about in our day. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Russia is, your bloody Qatar is. That's why a lot of people were worried about it. Germany doesn't exactly always have that controversy wherever you look now. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I feel that's why it worked well, and there wasn't major fighting over there with different fans because it's I can't think of the word. I actually can't think of the word, so you're gonna have to leave it. I just don't think it's controversies of Russia or like what we know that goes on in them countries currently. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I was just wondering if you felt Germany had really put on a show and really pulled out the stops.
Was there a closing ceremony? I don't know, but yeah, it was a good show. There wasn't really major talking points when it comes to like the whole atmosphere and everything. It was just a decent, good watch of a show all round all month. There's not a bad thing you say about it, and there's not like a main talking point that's really really positive. It was just an okay tournament that had good football and bad football and some bad decisions, like football does.
Which is
It was
fairly
just
normal, isn't it?
yeah, it is. It's fairly normal. So it was just a normal, good all-round tournament for me.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
I'd just like to start off by saying thank you to Gareth. Honestly, I know he's been given a bad press, but in my lifetime, England had done nothing for, 20, 28 years or so, nearly 30 years, and without being in the latter stages of tournaments since Euro 96. And watching England was an absolute torture, but in a different way. It was still torture now, but it was, it was long ball, hoof ball, right up until 2016 when Gareth took over. And we played against Germany, and Eric Dyer scored a header, and we won 3-2. And that was the first moment I thought things were changing. And then we had the 2018 World Cup, which was absolutely fabulous and brought the nation together. It was a joy to watch England. And then again, in the Euros to make the final, first time around, yes, we probably should have won it against Italy, but it was an amazing experience. World Cup, we had our chances against France. Kane obviously missing the penalty, small margins, and then again on Sunday. But what Southgate's done, Southgate for me, I just want to set the record straight. Southgate for me is probably the greatest modern, since '66, the greatest England manager we've had.
For
whatever you say about his tactics, he's got, playing for England used to be a curse, and used to be would make good players hide away. And what Gareth's done is he's brought us all together, he's brought us on a journey. And we've not won anything, but I tell you what, I have nothing but admiration for him. And for all those people in Germany who were throwing beer glasses at him and whatever, and for slating him, do you just remember what it was like when we played Iceland in 2016 and lost?
Roy Hodgson, of course, was the manager then.
The 2014 World Cup, where we didn't even get out the group. The Capello years, which were a disaster. The Brolly years, the Brolly moment with Steve McLaren, Ericsson with the golden generation, and what Gareth's done, we had made one final in our history. One. Gareth has taken us to 3 semi-finals, 2 finals, and 1 quarter-final. So everybody who says Gareth's hopeless or whatever, get off your high horse, people. The man is a legend of English football. And I'm quite emotional today. You can probably hear it in my voice.
I can hear it in your voice, Sam.
But it's, for me, he could have done better in moments maybe, and everybody says we've got world-class players. We've got some world-class players, some, but so have other teams. And, for me, Gareth has brought the joy in watching England again. To the point where we expect to make semi-finals and finals. And I just want to thank him from the bottom of my heart, and I hope he can look back on his time with pride. I know right now he'll be hurting like the rest of the country, and he's probably had enough and ready to walk away. But honestly, we'll look back at Gareth's time, and we've been very lucky. So be careful what you wish for. That's what I say.
So I suppose the real question is, Who's next?
Definitely an English manager. For me, I don't want to go down the foreign route. We've seen big names like Capello and Ericsson, and all right, Pep might be on the market, but I want an Englishman. I'd rather an Englishman have it and just carry on playing good football than having to have a foreign manager. I personally, it's difficult because following in Gareth's footsteps is going to be very difficult, very difficult. The man's a modern day legend, even though he didn't win anything. But for me, your obvious candidates are Eddie Howe, whether he'd leave Newcastle,
He's been linked with the job.
whether he'd leave Newcastle on. I'm not sure. There's not many candidates. You've obviously got Graham Potter. I'm
Who's
not
also
sure.
been linked, yeah.
I'm not sure whether it's right for him. The likes of Gerrard and Lampard is rubbish. That'd be a disgrace to what Gareth's done. We just go backwards.
Let me just jump in defence of Gerrard and Lampard there, because I take umbrage with that a little bit. Right, I will say I don't think that Gerrard or Lampard are bad managers. I just think that they have made bad managerial decisions.
They're terrible.
When it comes to jobs, no, right, because Gerrard got Rangers their first title against Celtic, which you might say, Celtic won that league 10 years in a row. It's an achievement, whether you say so or not. Frank Lampard, secondly, and more importantly, is responsible for the top flight careers of Mason Mount, Fikayo Tomori, Tammy Abraham, and got Chelsea to Champions League in a season where they weren't allowed to sign anybody with, a good squad, but nowhere near as good a squad as certain Chelsea managers have had. Not to mention the job that he did at Derby was very, very decent.
He didn't get them promoted. They were one of the favourites to get promoted.
That's not what a good job is. A good job isn't like that kind of success.
It depends. No, it depends. This is why we say things in relative. You could say, people say Gareth's not won anything, but we were nowhere near winning anything before Gareth.
No, but the difference is...
Let me finish. The point is that Derby, at the time, they were expected to get promoted or probably, because they'd been there 3 or 4 years, and they played okay football at times, but they didn't do his job, did he? And then he got the Chelsea job, so...
Yeah, but you've got to think, he went up against, was it Villa in that playoff final?
Yeah.
It was by far the best team in that league. If it had been anybody else, Derby would have got promoted in that playoff campaign, I believe.
Maybe.
Anyway, I also think people forget that Everton survived because of Frank Lampard and that team that year. But okay, I'm not saying, by the way,
they survived because of Richarlison. That's why they survived.
I'm not saying, by the way, that Gerrard or Lampard are anywhere near the quality. I just take a lot of if you want to talk about a bad manager, Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, I agree. It's done nothing.
And that guy, right? That guy is stealing a living.
But he did a better job at Derby than Frank for me.
Bollocks.
Yeah, for me he did because he was under unbelievable restrictions. Yeah, he stunk the place out of Birmingham. I'll give you that. But
under your
they would have finished lower mid-table with the points they got if they hadn't had the reduction.
But under the way you're going on about it, he didn't stay up, so he didn't succeed, did he?
Yeah, but they had a point. They had a points deduction.
No, do you not understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, but success is relative.
Exactly.
Nobody expected Derby to survive, and they had enough points if they hadn't have had the deduction. to survive. But Derby under Frank were expected to get promoted. I like Frank. I think he's a decent guy. Yeah, we can agree to differ on that. And I know Gerard, as players, I'm not having a go at them. But you asked me who I personally think should get it. Well, the job.
Yep.
And I think for everybody out there, I think that there's only one man for this job, and that's Lee Carsley. He's worked to an extent going from the under-21s to management with Gareth. I don't think that could have gone much better given where we were at the time over the whole piece. So let's give Lee Carsley a go.
I don't. First of all, I don't know about you, Rob, but that's basically. Is that the opposite of what we said? Well, it's the opposite of what I said. I said I wanted a success. I would have had a club manager because I felt like Germany, even though they didn't get very far, actually played the best football, and Italy did in parts, and they had two very successful club managers in Nagelsmann
Antonio Conte.
not Gasparini. What's he called? Won the league with Napoli. What's he called? Spalletti?
Oh, De Rossi, innit? Rossi?
No. The Italy manager now is...
Yeah, it's Rossi, innit, or something?
No. De Rossi is the Roma manager.
Spalletti, obviously his name.
Yeah, it is. I'm sure it's Spalletti.
Obviously his name, I think.
That's him.
Yeah, so I had said that I would have rather have had a successful club manager. And I suppose now that since you've asked Sam who he actually wants for the job, I suppose that me and Rob had better chime in as well. So I'm going to go ahead and say, in terms of an English manager, my dream one would be. Oh, I don't. It's quite difficult. I think in terms of available. In terms of available or ones that might take it, I feel like Potter would be quite good, but I don't think he's a great man manager.
What about Gary O'Neill?
Which is basically Gary O'Neill, not a bad shout. Not a bad shout. I tell you one that I really wouldn't mind, and this is quite controversial, but in terms of a similar character of. That's basically what you do as international management. This is how I see international management. And we were talking about it earlier on. What's harder, league management or international management? And the major thing of international management is man management and motivation and getting the team behind you. So my dream would be either Eddie Howe or Sean Dyche. Well, I don't think get either of them.
But hang on. Let's go back to Southgate. People talk about negative football. That's all you get with Sean Dyche. Negative.
But 10 times more negative, probably.
Yeah, 10 times more negative.
It'd be like a slightly upgraded version of Sam Allardyce.
Yeah, Sam's right. Sam is right.
No, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that
I like Sean. I think
there's a lot of limitations. I think there's a lot of limitations on an Everton or a Burnley.
You're right. And he played the way he had to stay in the league. I get that.
If you look at Sean Dyche's tactics, everywhere he's been, yes, you need resources with teams, but everywhere his tactic is always basically get 11 players behind the ball and then put so many players upfield when you're on the counter.
Yeah, but you could also say that he's never had a job where he's actually had the freedom to play how he wants to.
I agree.
I think that he has been forced to play away with the team that he gets because. Let's face it, all right, Everton have got a rich owner, but they're so down with the FFP and PSR and all that. And Burnley the same, the shoestring budget at Burnley and the job that he did. Like everything that Sean Dyche has done in his career is good.
Yeah.
He's stable.
I agree with both of you there. Yeah.
I'm going off the pure football, the football on the pitch. It doesn't matter about your financial fair play. If you want to play a certain way or play a way you want to play, you play that football no matter what. If you have got the strength, fair enough, then you have to tweak your tactics. But then find players that play the way for you. And unfortunately for him, that, no matter how long he's been around, he's always going to play that way. When he got promoted with Hull and people were saying how good they were, his Hull teams would sit back, sit deep, invite pressure on, then get them on counter attack. It's just the way sort of manager Dyche is.
Burnley.
Yeah, Burnley's the same. Wanted to get Hull
Not
for
Hull.
a
He didn't go at Hull. He didn't go Hull. You know, like Steve Bruce.
Burnley, sorry, yes, Burnley. When he got promoted with Burnley, he was exactly the same. And then when he come to the league, he was exactly the same. Yes, I agree with you. You need resources and you need better players sometimes to play the tactics. But if you're putting a tactic to a player or to a team to do something, they're going to try their best to do it. He is never going to change his way of playing football, Sean Dyche. He isn't. And what I'm trying to say is, if you bring him to England, that's the way you will get it. 10 players behind the ball, get them on the counter. Probably pass it sideways for about 10 minutes to slow the game down.
Yeah, but not being funny, for the last 4 years, that's how we've played as a nation.
No,
Anyway.
it's not. No, it's not, because what we've done is the way we played under Roy Hodgson and Capello was like that. But actually, when Southgate took over, yes, he's not the most progressive coach, I get that, but our passing is still not as good as like Spain or whatever. But we have got a lot better. We're not great, but we have got so much. Like, if you look at the way we played, the hoofball that we used to play, like Southgate wasn't the most progressive. I'll give you that. But at least we tried to play through the lines a lot more.
But don't you think that's part of the upsetting thing about England's performance this tournament? Is it has been a lot of scoring and dropping deep. It has been a lot of hopeful balls up front to Harry Kane that he's been able to do nothing with. You can't say it's not been like that. Yeah, there has been moments where it's shone through.
I just think we tried to play the ball too sideways and backwards too much.
You can't. The thing is, I feel like this tournament, the pressure's been on. Like we said earlier on in the thing before Sam turned up, the pressure's been on, and I think that's forced him to play really, really defensively. Now, I don't. The fact of the matter is, about just to close off on Sean Dyche, I don't think that you can safely say that if we give Sean Dyche the England job with that calibre of players, you can't say how he's going to play, because it's a completely different ball game. It's a completely different ball game. And going back to something that we said earlier on about Gerrard and Lampard, you give Frank Lampard a Derby team and they play great, and then you give him a Chelsea team and they play great, but then you give him...
Why did he get fat then?
Hang on. But then you give him money and things, and they don't do so well. That's the inverse of what I'm saying. So basically, how do you know that Sean Dyche won't have not a lot of money and not a lot of resources and not that level of player and play negatively? How do you know that if he goes into a top level job like England, that it won't completely change the style?
Yeah, you make a good point. I just think it's too big of a risk. Because I don't think people realise, I get you say about this tournament, we sort of have gone back a little bit, but Gareth did change the style a lot from what we used to watch. I don't disagree. And I just worry that with Sean, not that Gareth had much to compare to in terms of style, but, with what went before him, but I just worry with Sean that he would carry on that club mentality. I think he's a really good guy. He'd put people in the place. Maybe that's something Sean would do a bit more. He's a lovely guy, but he would like things weren't going right, he probably would change it quicker.
Yeah,
I don't think Sean had taken him messing. So maybe that's what we've been missing. Maybe we go on about style too much. And we have got to two finals and one semi-final playing quite defensive football. I'm not sure unless you keep the ball as well as somebody like Spain did with Xavi and Iniesta, David Villa, that group, David Silva, Fabregas. I'm not. I think you have to play more defensive to win a tournament. I'm not saying negative, but I think you have to.
I think naturally international football is very defensive, and
Well,
that's
it's knockout, isn't it? I know
that's
you have
something that you need to think about anyway. Yeah, but don't you genuinely, not so much the qualifiers, because usually we're playing against like Cyprus or Kazakhstan, but if you watch like England in a friendly, I just think it's boring. I just think it's so cagey. Like, it's a friendly, go for it.
But that's what Gareth made me fall in love with again. Like I would watch England in the tournaments before, just because obviously I'm English and I love England. But I hated watching us in anything else. I have pretty much, not every friend, especially not over the last couple of years, but when Gareth first came on the scene, from say 2016 to 2020, I used to watch every friendly, with my England kit on, because he got me believing again. And just to finish off on your point about Sean, Gareth probably was afraid to make changes at times, and I think that maybe that ruthless efficiency might be what we needed. So maybe the style doesn't need to change that much. Maybe we do, because we got great players. Yes, we need to keep the ball a little bit better, but maybe it doesn't need to change that much. Rob, obviously, the Liverpool fans love Klopp. I think the nation loves Klopp. I think even if you're a rival fan like United, I can't help but like Klopp. But what would you think about a German manager, as much as you love him, managing the England team, if that was a possible route? Would you have, even though it's Klopp, would you have an issue with it?
Yes. No, maybe. Yes, I'd say yes.
You would?
Only because if we actually went on to win a tournament, people would say we've just won a major tournament with a German manager in an English national team, and it's a German man that's just won the World Cup with us or the Euro. It just looked a bit, you know what I mean? A bit to me. It would look great. I'm not being funny. If we're going off managers now and you Klopp from tomorrow, you just know that team's going to play football. That full throttle rock and roll football where he just presses the life out of you and just plays attacking football. But in tournaments, if you went off your fucking major tournaments, you look at his final records, they're not great. I know he won everything in Liverpool. His final records aren't great, whether he's Dortmund or Liverpool. And he would get put in the major finals, like semi-final and final, because going back to what you said about Southgate and Sean Dyche, as you get into a knockout point of a tournament, you have to sit defensively, like you said, and will that suit a young Klopp team? Probably not. He would do really well, though. He would do really well, and you'd see a lot of goals from an England side. Personally, no, because I tell you another thing, a lot of Liverpool fans would probably hate it. Because I'm not a proper Scouser, but if you go down to Liverpool, a Liverpoolian, a proper Scouser, absolutely hates national team when it comes to England. They hate it with a passion, and I feel like we could turn on top and just start dissing them.
I'm not sure all Scousers hate the England team.
What
majority of them do, don't they? They say they're Scouse, they're not English. That's what
I've
been
there. But then again, I've also heard I'm Mancunian and I'm not English.
I'm Mancunian, not English. They're all, a bit weird like that. I'm to fucking Liverpool more than anyone else. I could say anything about Liverpool, but when it comes to my country, I will still always support my country. And I've actually had, over this tournament, I've actually had arguments and debates with my own Liverpool fans about Trent and stuff playing in Liverpool players. I've actually had arguments about them because they're saying,
Do you think some of that comes though because the FA and the president of the FA is Prince William, is part of the royal family, and obviously Liverpool, especially Liverpool, in general, Liverpoolians have a problem with the royal family. So is that patriotism sort of the country represents that kind of patriotism? We sing "God Save Our Gracious King," before each match, and does that turn people off? I don't know.
No, I think it's to do with that. I think it's to do with the fact that people, like, one of my favourite things about England under Gareth is everybody's unified, right? All the team are mates. They all get on. Blah blah blah.
Great.
One of the things that I think that people don't like, ex-players is a great example of this, right? The divide between, people talk about the golden generation never won anything because of the cliques, the hatred between clubs, and
These separate and all that.
This, that, and the other. And I think that's what it is. I think that people don't like that there isn't really that needle in the Premier League anymore between rival teams because they're all very unified, which is due to Gareth, which I think, for the most part nowadays, I'm a neutral. I support a team in League Two. So I'm not that bothered about the Premier League anymore. I don't think it changes the overall quality, but I do think you notice that you haven't got somebody that's Steven Gerrard or Wayne Rooney. But that's not just about clubs. That's about characters. The modern football lacks characters.
Yeah, like Keane, Vieira's, Inces, Yasunes. Yeah.
I just want to say as well, just to wrap up the original point, is what I was actually saying is obviously dream thing, Sean Dyche or Eddie Howe. I think Eddie Howe would play better football but isn't as good of a man manager as a Sean Dyche or a Gareth. But in terms of the second thing, which was what's the dream and who do we think will realistically get it, I do think that Lee Carsley is the one that will realistically get it, just to close off, because I do think that model is proven, and I wonder whether, if we ask you the same question, Rob, who is your dream England successor, and who do you think will get it? What you're going to say?
I personally think either way, it doesn't matter what you look at. The FA will not go out of Europe and look for a European manager. I can tell you that now. It's going to be an English manager. So if we're going off English, I would like to see, because I haven't heard much of him lately, I don't know where he is, but I'd like to see Graham Potter, because I feel like he's got a lot to prove. I feel at Chelsea, he didn't even get the time that he needed. He just got sacked off because of bad results. He didn't get the time to absorb this. And I feel like at Brighton, he did I'm not saying amazing job, but he did a really, really good, decent job to keep him up and keep him a steady Eddie as a club. And then, like I said, went to Chelsea and thought he could do well, but didn't have the resources, didn't have the money because of whatever, and didn't have the time. So I'd really like to see Graham Porter give a chance. That's my thingy. Or whatever his name is, I think it is going to be Graham Porter or the other lad you said, Lee Carsley. Because Lee Carsley will do what Southgate did, come from the under-21s, and what he might do with Lee Carsley might bring a few lads from under-21 with him. He might bring a few young lads from that team and make them gel into the original England team.
I've got a few. Hang on, pitch. There we go. I've got a few left field ones for you, which I'm not saying these are anywhere near ready, but potential. to look at Russell Martin.
No, he's a Scot.
Is he Scott? Oh, I didn't
Well,
know that.
he isn't. He played for Scotland international, but he's very obviously English. But it won't go down well.
Right. And the other one, who I really like, probably isn't quite ready yet, but could be a future England manager, is Liam Rossini.
Yes, I like that. I like that. And I first of all, let's go on. Who was it that you said? It's just gone out of my head.
Russell Martin.
Russell Martin would probably do a decent job. Seems like he's got Southampton. Well, obviously, I watch a lot of EFL. Southampton played amazing football, deserved to go up. Has done really well in previous jobs. Did all right at Swansea, not great, but did do okay. Did really well at MK Dons.
But the question is, even if they did well in the Championship, would they go?
Yeah.
Would they go straight back down?
We'll see. I mean, ultimately, what I was going to say was, seems like a very good man manager as well. Seems like he could carry on the culture, but that'll never happen because he's Scottish. It'll just never be accepted. Liam Rossini, I absolutely love.
I love him too.
Now,
I think he's a lovely guy and his coaching's great. Carry on, sorry.
if you don't know a lot about Liam Rossini and his career, a lot of people said, and this is going to break Sam's poor little heart, but a lot of people behind the scenes at Derby, staff, players, said that the majority of the coaching, the year where they nearly went up, was done by Liam Rossini. He took the job after Wayne Rooney left and did really, really well to rebuild that side. Took the whole job, built really well, just missed out on the playoffs with Hull, and was sacked really unfairly. In terms of playing style, what you would expect from a Liam Rossini, I think fits really well within a Premier League team. I'm surprised, considering that he used to play for Brighton, I'm surprised that his name didn't come up. It probably did. The only thing I've seen in terms of him being linked with a team is that he turned down the Plymouth job, which then went to Wayne Rooney, weirdly enough. So, yeah, I think that could happen. I don't think it will.
No, I don't think he's quite ready yet.
But he's a very young coach. I don't even think he's 40 yet. So
has he got some Irish blood in his family? Because his name sounds...
not sure.
Don't know. But I do know that he speaks very well, he's very knowledgeable, and I think he's... you see certain people and they're like, they've got something about them. Like, that goes beyond, like, they're good at football management or as football pundits, but they've got something about them. He gives me that impression. Jermaine Genius does in another way, kind of. He's got something about him, not management-wise, but just, I don't know, just warm to him.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah,
sorry.
I really agree. I just want to say as well, like, what a conversation this has been so far. I've really, really enjoyed it.
Right,
Yeah,
what I am going to say...
It's been great. It's been wonderful.
Should we move on to the next question? Because if we don't, this is going to take for hours. And we're
sorry. Just one thing I did want to... I forgot to point out is, we were talking about Frank Lampard. Let's not forget, when he first came into Chelsea, they were banned from signing players, and the job he did there.
Yeah, it was great. He did well.
Yeah, really good job.
But in football, if you've already got a good side, do you really always have to sign players and spend millions to look good?
Yes.
Now that's what I agree with, because that's what I think his downfall was.
Yeah, if you're good enough to be, I'm not saying sometimes in football you do need money because you need the players that you want. But if you're good enough to be a coach or a manager, you should be able to deal with what you've already got.
I
Especially Chelsea
agree.
and Chelsea. I'm not being funny to you, Jordan, but Chelsea still had quality players in that
Yeah.
team at that time. They
No,
had quality
I
players.
agree. The thing is about that is, I I didn't, apart from Ben Chilwell and Timo Werner at the time, I didn't like any of the other signings. And the thing is as well,
But not even Ziyech and players like that.
Ziyech is fucking shit. I
No,
don't know whether we're swearing,
Lad,
but
come on, because Lauren wants to come downstairs and watch Tally with me. I need to get this done. I'm not being rude, Will. I need to get it done, mate.
yeah. But yeah, Ziyech is terrible. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's one of those things. It's one of those things with that. I would have just, if I was him, I would have stuck to all the players that he had, but he didn't, and that's football. Moving on.
Right, okay. So I'm going to ask the three of you your standout moments for this Euros.
I get a feeling we might all say the same or similar things.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll go to you one by one. So, in fact, let's go with you, Rob. What's your standout moment?
My standout moment. As a goalkeeper, because I'm a goalkeeper, I'm going to be a bit biased here. I love watching Donnarumma in goal for Italy. I loved it. I know that might sound daft because of all the football and the great goals he scored. I just love watching Donnarumma, how good he played as a goalkeeper. And I did feel a bit sorry for him in the end about how amazing he did play in some of them games. Donnarumma as a goalkeeper, he was brilliant. And if it wasn't Donnarumma in goal for Italy, Italy could have, after, because they started well and then they just played absolutely awful, they could have just got slaughtered most of them games if it wasn't for him. So I'm going to say Donnarumma. And the other one was my biggest surprise, and I really enjoyed it, was, we said this earlier, Georgia beating Portugal. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that moment because a lot of people, probably everyone, didn't expect Georgia to go and beat and keep a clean sheet against Portugal. Did they keep a clean sheet, or was it 2-1?
Yeah,
Yeah,
2-0.
yeah.
2-0, so they kept the clean sheet. So that for me was a big surprise, and I really enjoyed that. But yeah, my biggest enjoyment was watching Donnarumma and some of the goalkeepers. Because like, yeah, I'm a goalkeeper. Yeah, I'm boring.
Yeah.
Okay, so your moment was Donnarumma there.
Yeah, Donnarumma. I can't remember what game it was, but there was an Italy game, and he must have made about 7 saves. I don't know if it was. I think it was one of the last group games or the last 16 against Switzerland. He was just unreal.
Right, okay. And Jordan, your standout moment?
I think, as an England fan, I think that obviously there's two major moments, isn't there? Really, but it's got to be Jude Bellingham. Who else? As he said, like, in terms of a moment as an England fan, it is the genuine definition of the depths of despair.
Yeah.
Flashbacks to Iceland, which we all remember. Things like being beaten 4-0 by Hungary in the Nations League a couple of years ago. It was the absolute pit of despair. And as the great man said, who else? So he did an interview after, and he says, the interviewer said, "Who writes the scripts?" And he says, "I do." And that sums him up. I just think it was the perfect moment and a world-class finish for one of the best players in world football right now.
I mean, let's not forget Jude Bellingham started at Birmingham City, then went to Borussia Dortmund, and now is playing for one of the biggest clubs, Real Madrid.
Only 21.
Amazing.
That goal. You said the goal, didn't you, George? That goal that he scored.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is definitely up with one of the moments because you just seen all the fans and everything jump out of the bloody gun and just jump out of the seats. That was amazing. That's definitely up there. If we're talking like just a personal perspective of an English fan, then that's probably my favourite part of being an England fan.
Okay.
The tournament.
Sorry, Rob.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine because you are supposed to talk to Sam. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no, just want to absolutely make sure. Have you have you finished?
Yeah, I'm fine, mate. I'm just fine. Just explaining to you, if we were going off personal favourites of England, then that would be a personal favourite of England. But if, like you said,
Okay, right, okay. Yeah, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be England, but
yeah, that's why I said what I said. But because your personal moment of England, it would definitely be the balance goal. So I'd go with Jordan. I would agree with it, mate.
yeah, no, yeah, no, that's fine. And Sam, I'll come to you. What's your stand-up mode for this Euros?
Well, taking my England hat off, because I agree with what the boys have said. Obviously, Watkins and Bellingham, especially, just from the depths of despair, and I don't think Gareth would have deserved that at all to go out like that. But yeah, it was just amazing. It was relief. I felt sick afterwards. But I'm gonna take my England hat off for mine. Just to because I watched a lot of the Euros. I just thought Georgia just deserved a special mention. First tournament they'd played, either Euros or I don't think they'd made a World Cup ever either, or the Euros, the debut tournament.
No, it was their first ever tournament.
I just thought the way they attacked it. We talk about being defensive and maybe having to be a bit more defensive if you're going to win it. But if you want the definition of joy for a nation and the pride for a nation and the joy that their fans had, I just thought the team went about it in a wonderful, wonderful way. Rather like Turkey did. They just went hell for leather and we're just going to go for it and whatever. But with Georgia, it's just such a surprise. And I just thought, good on you. They had a whale of a time. Even against Spain, they lost 4-1, but they were pouring bodies forward, and they ran themselves absolutely into the ground. And I thought that feeling that those Georgia fans, and we talk about, Spain winning it and us having moments under Gareth. For them, they won the tournament for their fans.
Oh,
Just by making it and getting to the last 16 and not disgracing themselves against Spain. They played well in parts, but yeah, I just thought that their attitude and desire, just overall as a team. But I suppose you did ask for one moment, didn't you?
Yes.
And that Portugal one's been said. I just. I hate to and I won't say England, but yeah. In fact, I'm just going to say that win against Portugal for Georgia. I just thought, I know Portugal had a lot of players out and rested them, but for Georgia to beat Portugal like that was amazing. So that'd be my moment, minus obviously England's special moments.
So we better discuss the grand finale itself, the final. Our thoughts on the game?
Who wants to go first?
I'll go
first.
Overall, I think the first half was very, very cagey at times. Really cagey. I feel like both teams didn't want to concede first. And I feel like that's what the both games plan were, because I think, was it only Spain? Spain only had the one chance on target in the first half.
It was very cagey, wasn't it?
Easy. And then I feel like Southgate would have given the lads a proper pep talk, and it just went to absolute rubbish in the first minute, because, as I've said to Jordan previously in a message, what was Kyle Walker doing in a central central position in a defensive area when he should have been on the right, covering his area and covering that run when he come from the left side of the wing. If he covered it, I don't think that first goal's in. But he didn't look over, and that's what cost him. And then it sort of opened the game up, and it came a bit more alive because of that goal. And we Southgate changed it. What was it, in the 65th minute or 70th minute? He changed Watkins for Kane and Palmer for
Cole
Foden.
Palmer came on, yeah.
And for about 5 or 10 minutes, we looked lively, and Palmer got that goal. And then for an extra couple of minutes again, we looked lively again. Like, actually, we could go and win this and maybe get a second. And we had the odd chance. And then, unlucky for Spain just cut us open. To be honest, it was really good work goal. They just cut us open. It was a good goal. And it just cost us in the end. And then we had to go for it again. We had a good few chances right at the end, like Sam said, in the 90th minute, where we had about 3 headers, was it? One got blocked, one was a shot, and then the other one got blocked. And that was it for England. But overall, I feel like it was a cagey, airy game until that first goal. And it was the first goal that cost England because of Kyle Walker, if anyone. I'm sorry. That's just
when Cole Palmer and Ollie Watkins came on, it was like someone got a syringe and injected England with loads of energy, wasn't it?
Yes, because Watkins came on, did something Kane couldn't do most strong, and that was pressed from the front. So he was pressing from the front, and he was pressing the defenders, and we were winning the ball quicker. Same as Palmer. Palmer was running around trying to intercept that ball and win it back quicker for us, and it did work for so long.
Right. Okay. And Sam, your thoughts?
Obviously gutted, but looking at the game, same as what Rob said. Really, I'm going to keep it nice and brief for once. KG first half. I was happy that we were in at 0-0 because I was a bit worried they might overload us. They didn't. Second half, I don't know, but just sloppy moment in the first minute. You know, you should be switched on throughout the whole game, but especially when you just had a debrief, what we were doing. And yeah, just didn't defend it properly as a team. Then, to be fair to Southgate, he makes the changes in relatively good time for him. Palmer scores, and my dad said for 5 minutes afterwards, my dad was like, "We're playing so well here." I was like, "Yeah, but we need to get another goal because they're going to take control of possession again." But yeah, the best team won it. The best team won it in the tournament. The best team won it on the night. It was closer than I thought it was going to be. I was disgusted at the ref. Not saying he lost us. I would never say that because we were 2-1 down. But yeah, why he didn't add on another few minutes, I don't know. But yeah, cagey final in parts, exciting in others. But overall, you know, Spain beat everyone they played. And I hate to say it, but we're probably worthy champions.
And Spain really did not leave any space, did they? They really made sure it was very tight so that England could not get through a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, and George, your thoughts?
It's kind of difficult to touch on things that haven't already been touched on. I think, like Sam sort of said, I thought we were going to get battered. I thought that Yamal and Nico Williams were going to tear us a new one. And it's interesting that we talk about Kyle Walker because up until the point of the goal, Nico Williams was having such a bad time one-on-one with Kyle Walker that he actually swapped to the other side. Now, I know me and Robbie talking about this earlier on, and Robbie said he didn't notice that. I don't know whether you did, Sam.
Yeah, but I thought it was more just because Luke Shaw was giving Lamau such a hard time as well.
Yeah, but
I
I
think it was-
don't know. Apart from the goal, I don't think Kyle Walker did anything wrong against Williams. Sorry.
Yeah, I think both our fullbacks I thought Shaw was arguably the best player in the first half.
Mate,
considering-
hasn't started a game competitively since February, and he was fucking unreal.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Carry on.
to carry on about the game, goal was disappointing because it was obviously they switched off the first goal. Palmer and Watkins do what Palmer and Watkins do. One of the joys about my family is my family don't really enjoy football, or they kind of do and kind of don't, or they don't know a lot about it. So I'm basically sat there like an analyst all game, and I'm saying about how, my mum's going on about Kane. Why is he not in this position, that position? And I said, well, because of the way that Spain are playing, he's having to drop deep to make his own chances because he can't get where he needs to be. It was kind of the question come up of like, what would you do now? And I said, I'd bring Watkins on because he'd press from the front. I'd bring Palmer on because he's got the energy and he is
the whole team gets
and,
all
and he's something special. And what happened? Watkins came on and pressed from the front, and Palmer came on and scored what I thought was a fantastic finish.
It was a
in
brilliant
final.
goal, wasn't it? I mean, the Spanish goalkeeper Simon, couldn't have done anything about that, could he?
Yeah, no, and I think, like we said, it was at that moment where I thought that we could potentially win it, because England this tournament, the whole theme of England has been moments. Jude Bellingham, Saka, Watkins, it's moments. Trent Alexander-Arnold, it's all moments. And I just felt for a split second that this was it. And then we sat back. And then we sat back. And we were destined to lose that game because we sat back. And they cut us open with the one thing that you always say when two teams are cagey and they sit back against each other is it's a moment of brilliance. And it was precise passing that sliced us open. And Mikel Oyarzabal wins it for Spain. And they deserve to win it. We didn't deserve to win. But it hurts.
Yeah, it really hurts.
And that's football.
It is indeed. So, as we have a new manager obviously come in, who in the revolving door should be in and who should be out of the current players?
I'll let Rob go first.
That's a very difficult question, by the way, just before anybody says anything.
I feel like, even though he's a quality player and he's England's goal scorer, I feel like with the next tournament, when it comes up, I feel like Kane will be at the end of his career. So you've got to starting Watkins in these warm-up games and these qualifiers to see something different from the front.
Or Tony.
I would not say Kane. Listen, I don't want you part of the national team anymore. I would not say that. He still needs to be around because lads can learn off him. The new strikers that are coming in, they can learn from him. He is quality. I feel like we need something new up top. I certainly would definitely. I know there's been a lot of injuries this tournament. That's why a few lads haven't come that usually go to the tournaments. I would definitely keep that marker. Gailey is his name. He was quality. He was one of my favourite England players of the tournament. He was really class. So I definitely want to see him again in the team. And I feel like Kit Pickford could have a really good test in the next few years with certain goalkeepers like what's his name, James Telford, is it?
Trafford,
sorry, James Trafford. You've still got Nick Pope that I like, that's always been injured when they've done national tournaments. You've got Dean Henderson. So who's one player we might have to watch out for is the goalkeeper. You've got Kyle Walker. that I've said my piece on him. I don't really like him. I don't think he will be in the team much longer.
He'll be getting. He's getting on a bit, isn't he?
He'll be walking soon.
Exactly. He's getting older, and I don't feel like he fully potentially fills his role very well. So I feel like a new right back will come in, whether it's Trent, whether it's Reece James that will take that role. And there will still be players there that have played in this tournament, like your Bellingham, your Saka, your Declan Rice, your Conor Gallagher might be there. And obviously there will still be new players that will come into that team from like the under-21s. Like we were going off, what's his name, Charles Lee, is it? If he does become the manager of England, then he probably will bring a few lads from the under-21 ranking with him that will spice the team up a bit.
A return for Ben White, can we see possibly coming in the future?
Talk to him.
I reckon so.
Talk to him.
He could, yeah. And he could take that right back role.
I don't want him back, though. I don't want him back.
If the problem to do with his England career is what is highly reported by almost every football journalist, that he fell out with Steve Holland, if Gareth goes, Steve will probably go.
Yeah, but get over it. He shouldn't be allowed back, in my opinion.
I agree, get over it. But at the same time, are you really going to work with somebody? Well, I don't know. It's England, isn't it? It's difficult.
Anyway.
But, so, with that being said, I'll answer my bit. I think there are some players in this team that are going to be too old, probably, to play by the time the next, maybe even the World Cup comes around, but definitely the next Euros. You're talking about Walker probably won't be in the squad for the World Cup, I'd imagine, because he'll be 36. Trippier will be mid-30s. I think it's more of the same. Again, I think it should be, we were talking about, earlier on, me and Robbie were talking about, I called it Southgate players. And the players like Pickford and Maguire and Phillips that, yeah, all right, are they amazing for the clubs? No. In fact, they're pretty bang average. Or poor, some might say.
Pickford's a bit harsh.
I think Pickford's a good player. But is he a better goalkeeper than Ramsdale? No.
Yes.
If Ramsdale was playing every single game, Ramsdale should be number one.
He's the best English keeper in the world at the minute.
Who is?
Jordan Pickford.
Bollocks.
Nah, Sam, I'd disagree with you. I'd say it's Dean Henderson or Nick Pope. For me personally, Aaron Ramsdale, I don't truly rate. He's a good goalkeeper, quality keeper on his day, but he has, what I've seen of him over the last few years with Arsenal, he has some major mistakes in him. Aaron Ramsdale does.
Yeah, realistically, I think, let's say, all right, I don't rate Pope, and I don't rate Pickford, and I think Ramsdale should have started, but that all gets negated by the fact that, like, even if Ramsdale played every single game for Arsenal this season, if Nick Pope's fit, Nick Pope's playing. Because I think Nick Pope is the best English keeper at the minute.
I personally think that as well. I've always said Nick Pope. I love Nick Pope. The only problem with Nick Pope
is his kicking.
Is his kicking. Yes, Sam, you're right, mate.
Terrible.
And it's the only thing that lets him down as a keeper. But if you remember, well, like me, keepers weren't always supposed to kick and chuck the ball at the 50 yards kicking it. Do you know what I mean? They were supposed to just kick it up and hopefully someone gets on the end of it. They didn't really kick it out the runs like they do now, or pass it really quick like they do. It's the only problem with him is kicking. But as it goes by, like his position as a goalkeeper and saving the ball and catching the ball from a set piece, he's unreal in that aspect.
He is, but you need to be able to keep the ball, that's for sure, in major tournaments, and that would be a worry.
I think one final point, just to wrap this particular bit up. Build a team around that defensive partnership of Stones and Gahey. Mark Gahey is phenomenal and has been for
Chelsea, Crystal Palace captain now,
and he has been for years now. Years. John Stones gets better and better every year. He's a Rolls Royce. He's fantastic, and I felt some of his tackles and blocks in that final, specifically in the final, were unreal. If that was up to me, I wouldn't build a team around Kane or the exciting wingers we've got. I'd build a team around that defence, and that'd be it.
Well, you really need a partnership, don't you, at the back as well? So, and that's something to build on.
The good partnerships that we've had over the years that have been let down by other parts of the team. We had Jagielka and Kale at the back in 2016 and 2014. That's a class partnership. That's great.
I agree.
And yet, like, we other parts of the team let us down. You know.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's it for me. That needs to be our long term. Because what, Stones 28, 29? So Stones could still carry on. Stones could carry on to the World Cup. And obviously, Gahey's only 23. Gahey could be in the England team for the next 10 years.
Yeah, not that old.
Build.
Yeah, you need a platform, and that's a good platform, and a keeper as well behind them, whoever. Any more points, George, or shall I quickly make mine?
No, I don't think so. I think the only other thing I would say very, very quickly is that we need more forward options besides Kane, Watkins, and Tony. What I would like over the next couple of years is an exciting sort of mid-20s striker, because the problem you got with Kane is Kane's 30, Watkins is 28, I think Tony's 30, isn't he, as well? So it's all late 20s kind of peak strikers now, which is great, but he only really played Kane. By the time we get to the next tournament, you're looking at players that are past the peak.
Yeah.
But it's the reality.
But if you play Cole Palmer and then have Kane on the bench, you know,
you're not playing Cole Palmer at striker, though, Will.
He's not a striker.
To be honest, you could do with the way you play football. You could, and he scores goals. You could. It's not an actual it's not really wrong to play him as a striker. Didn't he play striker for Chelsea a couple of times last season as well?
He played as a 10 and on the wing.
Played as a 10. Well, I think he's good. I think he could play as a striker, to be honest. Palmer.
Yeah, I agree. Does anybody else want to make another point before I?
No, I can't think of much else. We need more left backs. There you go.
Yeah. Looking at where we need to improve, we need another ball playing midfielder. Although I think Mainu will grow, and obviously Rice is still very young. I think it's very difficult to have this conversation because a lot can happen in 2 years. I really like what I see from Adam Wharton. I think he could be a future Stonewall.
I was so glad that you mentioned him. He's fantastic.
In the midfield, if he carries on his development like he has. Again, it's difficult because players are going to come through. I mean, you know, for me, Kane is getting leggy. I mean, he's never had legs, but I could see Kane dropping into a number 10 role or maybe even further back, potentially a bit like Rooney did later in his career.
And he would do well there as well, by the way.
He would, be an option. It's difficult. I feel we're definitely missing balance on the left side. We've got some very good right backs. There'll still be very good right backs in a couple of years, even if if people like Walker and Trippier are raging, I think we have a revolving door of right backs. But I do think left backs, Mitchell could be one for the future. I think I really like Gahey, not only his football, but I really like him as well. I think what a lovely guy he seems. I know that doesn't win you tournaments, but he just seemed to get it. And fair play to him. Stone's class. So it's Stones and probably Gahey. I think Maguire's race is run. For me, Pickford stays as number one, barring a massive drop off in form. I don't think he's done anything wrong to lose
What do you think? Sorry, what do you think that Pickford does better than Pope or Ramsdale?
I think he is a better all-round goalkeeper. I think his distribution is better than both of those guys. I think he is a natural leader and will lead from the back. I'm not saying Ramsdale isn't, but I think Pickford's got a bit of madness in him. Sometimes that has got him into trouble in his younger days, but I think for what England need in a major tournament, a profile of keeper, he can throw it, he can kick it long or short. He's commanding. Yeah, he's not the tallest, but and he's not one of the best in the world, but I think he's good enough. I really do, and I think it's the best we've got. Whether he will be in a couple of years, I don't know. Yeah, striker is a bit of a concern. Even though Watkins looks like he's, still about 10. He's aging a bit. And I think striker is a bit of a problem. I don't know much about the youth teams. I know West Ham have a really good youth team, and a lot is on. And Barmer might come in and be, players like that might come up. But I think, I think it's all open in the air, and again, manager will have his own ideas.
So I actually would want to make just one more point, I suppose, before we go, because we've pretty much covered the majority of everything. Okay. And we were, kind of talking about doing this and stuff, and I was kind of thinking about ways that we could sum up this tournament. And I'd kind of like to sum up this tournament as a tournament where a lot of the big teams flattered to deceive.
Yeah.
That Europe as a whole took a lot of teams into their hearts as their own. The likes of Georgia, Austria were fantastic, Turkey, Switzerland, even Slovakia and Slovenia to some sense. Because they didn't play the best, but they still took England to the wire. They took Portugal to the wire. I also would like to say that it's a tournament where we're perhaps saying goodbyes to the likes of Ronaldo, Pepe, Olivier Giroud. I think of others. There definitely is more. Modric for sure. Yeah. There's loads. There is
Perisic. What is it? Perisic?
Perisic, yeah.
Well, there is Perisic. Yeah, Ivan Perisic.
So yeah, there is a lot. Obviously, I think also it's been a tournament where the youngsters have shone.
Sorry, Toni Kroos.
Yeah, Toni Kroos obviously retired after the World Cup, which is not the World Cup, the Euros, which is an absolutely massive shock.
A bit weird.
Yeah, strange.
Why not? He's in his 30s, though.
Yeah, but also I think that there were teams that kind of we saw a lot of good young players. I think about Mainu. I think about Yamal. Williams.
A special word on Yamal. 16, I know it's 17 now, but to be that young.
Hang on. We'll get there. I'm trying to do a bit here. Hang on.
Sorry.
But
hold your horses, son.
And it's all about experience versus youth, which I think has been a massive kind of theme to this tournament. But in the end, it was Spain that proved that the kids are all right and won the whole thing.
Well, Alan Hansen, I hope you're doing better, but you can win things with kids.
Yeah, that's true. You want to talk about Yamal, and I want to talk about Yamal as well, so I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I just thought for a 16
Sorry.
stroke 17-year-old to be in that environment, playing in your country, playing for your country, at that age is just frightening. And not just frightening playing at that age, but the level.
Remarkable, isn't it?
The level, remarkable young man. And, we don't know if he's going to, people are going to build him up now that he's going to be the best player in the world for decades to come. And you don't know that. It's a bit too early to tell. He's certainly got the talent, but hopefully he can carry on, progressing.
Talent and attitude, those are the two big things.
Yeah, it doesn't always work that way. But I hope he just, I said to Dan, I hope he doesn't become my dad. I said, I hope he doesn't become like Dele Alli, where he's got all the talent, but didn't quite, whether Dele comes back, we'll see. That's another interesting one. Yeah, Yamal, I mean, fair play to him. To be in that, I was thinking this, to be in that men's environment with men that were nearly twice his age, you know, for a 16-year-old slash 17-year-old boy, because he's still a teenage boy, is quite astounding, really.
Yeah, and I think as well, I think it's a very interesting point, and I'm not trying to compare the two players, but people talk about Jude Bellingham playing for Birmingham at 15, but so was Yamal for Barcelona, which is a completely different level. Like, imagine how good this kid's got to be to get past, I think at the time, last season, so Barcelona had Ferran Torres, Rafinha, Ansu Fati. To get past them at 15, you've got to be something. And I don't know whether he will be one of the best in the world, but I do think he is destined for the very, very top.
Yeah, hopefully.
I also want to say, in terms of a player of that age with that much quality, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I agree. And again, it's too young. It's young to forecast his future for him. But I tell you what, it'll be very, very bright if he exceedingly. He could be lucky. He's a generational, not just a generational talent, a centenary talent. You could argue, him and Bellingham in different ways. Yeah, and also, yeah, I just think good luck to the lad and keep your feet on the ground. I know he was doing his Spanish equivalent of his GCSEs during the tournament.
That's
So,
Yeah, I saw that. Hilarious.
so good luck with that. And I think he's the kind of guy. I don't know him obviously, but I want him to do well. And I just hope that the Spanish press
Oh, they
protect
can be
him.
brutal, can't they?
No, but I just hope they protect him a bit more than the English press do, because we build players up to try and purposely knock them down. And I just hope that people sit back and appreciate this lad and not try and put too much pressure on him and allow him to make mistakes on and off the field, because he's a 16-year-old boy. He's going to make errors in his life. But yeah, we're just going to
Yeah, absolutely.
let him breathe, let him learn. In England, you get to say 17, 18, and if you're a superstar, it's like, oh, you're going on nightclubbing or whatever. But he is a teenager. I just hope he's allowed to live a bit as well.
Yeah. Now, obviously, there's just one more thing that I want to ask before I'll let Will take us home, because I'm pretty aware that we've been talking for like 2 hours, and I don't know how well that's going to translate when it's obviously all edited up and stuff. But one thing I do want to say is, I think that this Spain squad, or the young core of it, could be a part of, because I think it could go either way, because they've got a lot of older players that they need to recycle out, as you do. But I do think this Spain squad could go on to be a force. I really do. I think that there's players that didn't make the squad, like such as the 17-year-old centre back playing Champions League and La Liga football for Barcelona, Pau Cubarsí. Obviously, Pedri got injured as well, and there's players like Gavi, and there's so much. Nico Williams and Yamal are going to be in that team for years and years to come.
Did Gavi gonna make it?
I think Gavi did. Gavi did play. Gavi did play, didn't he? I'm sure he did. Maybe he didn't. I don't look. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I just think for Spain, similar to England, they haven't really got a younger striker to play, unless you can think of somebody I can't.
No.
Off the top of my head, I'm trying really hard. All I can think is Morata, and I know there's more than that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you both. Sorry, have you finished your points?
Good, thanks,
No, that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think, and just to show that up, I don't see why Spain can't be a force. I'm sure there'll be other countries. It'll be very interesting to see, and a special mention for me for Croatia and what they've produced, because they are a country with something like less than 1 million population.
I think they're at the end of their golden generation now, aren't they? Which is a shame. I think they were. You saw big teams not playing very well. I think they were pretty poor.
For a team of for a country of their size to produce football players like they've done, and they probably will struggle to make tournaments in the future just because the pool they've got to pick from of people, let alone footballers, is so small. But what a joy they've been for a small nation. And I just want to say, for any small nation out there, Scotland included. But sorry, Andy. For any small nation out there, I couldn't help having a dig at Scotland there. Sorry, just go and chase your dreams, and a bit like in club football, if a Luton Town can go from from the National League right the way through the pyramid, then Croatia are sort of the equivalent of that in terms of international football. But yeah, carry on. Sorry.
No, that's fine. So I'm going to ask you, manager of the tournament for you.
Gotta be Luis de la Fuente. I'm not being funny. I didn't know who he was till this.
Sam, manager of the tournament.
It's an interesting one. The obvious one is the Spain guy, Luis Brilliante or whatever it's
De la
called.
Fuente.
De La Fuente deserves a special mention. He won the tournament, so he'll probably get it. Yeah, I'm not going to say Ralph Rangnick because I used to think I knew how good he was. Like when he was at United, I was like, "Oh, we should keep this guy," because he was just brutally honest about United and the style he tried to get us to play. I really liked it, and I think his point about United needing open heart surgery has been proven. But anyway, that's no news. But back to it, he deserves a mention. I think Turkey's manager deserves a mention. But for me, the one outstanding candidate is the Georgia manager of the tournament for me, to take a team into their first tournament and again attack it like they did. Fair play to him.
Okay, and player of the tournament.
So hard, that, isn't it?
Rodri.
I think for me, it's between 3 Spain players, and that tells you everything. No, hang on. No, okay. We'll say Gahey,
Yeah.
Yamal. No, okay, 4. Gahey, Yamal, Williams, or Rodri.
Yeah.
I think it's so hard because Williams, everybody that follows European football has heard, oh my God, this Williams kid is the next big thing. And I'm not even going to talk about the hype around Yamal because we all know. But if you don't really follow European football that well, you might not have heard about how good Nico Williams is supposed to be. I've heard it, but I've never seen him play before. Now I've seen him play. I believe the hype. That guy is...
keep feet on the ground.
That guy is rapid. Rodri is just world class, and there's not a lot more you can say about Rodri.
He's one of the best. In fact, I'm amazed Rodri's not been nominated for the Ballon d'Or because
I think that Rodri is in with a really, really good chance of winning it.
Because
I
George,
don't think Bellingham's had a good chance at all.
would I be too far in saying that Rodri is one of the best defensive midfielders of all time? For me, I think he's up there. I'm not saying he is the best,
I think he is the best defensive midfielder in the world right now. Of all time.
He's up there.
When you've got the likes of Busquets, you've got Kante, you've got Makelele.
But I think he's in that conversation, isn't he?
Based on accolades and pure playing style, and I'd probably say yeah. I don't think you can argue with it, but I do think it's a bold claim.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Rodri has now won a Euros, the Premier League, the Champions League. So that's pretty good going.
I look at City's record without him, and it's just astounding. He hardly loses when he's in there. And City, you'd think a team like City wouldn't miss him as much as they do, but they do. Just shows his importance, and I'm sure Spain, they brought that lad on at half time. We were all celebrating that he hadn't come out for the second half. But,
yeah, and then that lad played really well.
Yeah, he did, to be fair.
I'll go with Rodri because I do agree with what you're saying, but I think it's close.
Okay, so John, you're going to go for Rodri, Sam? You're going for Rodri?
Oh, I don't know. Can I change my mind?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pepe.
Oh, mate, what a shout that is! Because I could sit and talk about Pepe all day. I've been singing that man's praises all tournament. He's fucking 41.
For his age and how he it's a bit like a bit like Thiago Silva, where he's not got the pace anymore, but he's always in the right spot.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. Even when he's playing against quicker players, he somehow manages to get back or put them off or do something. And I just thought an inspiration for everyone out there to keep going. So maybe through a sentimental a little bit, but I'm going to give it to Pepe. Pepe, my player of the tournament.
I actually think that's a really good shout, by the way.
Pepe?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So, yeah, you're going for Pepe and Rodri.
Who are you going for, George? Rodri, same with it?
I don't know. I'm so torn because I think that Yamal and Williams have had incredible tournaments. And I feel like Rodri is such a generic answer, but you just can't argue with how good he is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, by the way, TubeMix, we have to bring this up, and I'm very sorry, Tubey.
Steady on.
Did you actually watch any of the Euros?
We talked about this before we started recording.
England v Netherlands, and I watched the final.
And did you enjoy it, or were you? Just so you know, ladies and gentlemen, TubeMix now does not like football. Uh,
I I I thought it was okay. It didn't give me the same excitement as when I was into football, but
so,
I thought
so
it was
you're
okay.
telling me then, Ali, because you obviously didn't watch the Slovakia game or any other games, but you're telling me that when Ollie Watkins scored with 2 minutes to go against Netherlands, you weren't jumping up and down, no?
No,
No.
Oh, mate. I'm gonna say one thing, right? When that Watkins goal went in, I couldn't believe it that much that I hardly celebrated that goal. I was that gobsmacked that I literally was just like, yes, and that was it.
you were as
Whereas
light
the
as a
Palmer
kite,
goal, I
basically.
absolutely went for it.
Well, for everyone's information, um, I have just a little story for you here. I have just graduated from UCLan in Preston. Great university, by the way, if you're looking to go there. Great campus.
No,
Uh,
bloody hell, here we go.
did the acting course. But anyway, gets sidetracked. Um, and last Wednesday, I was still in Preston when the semi was on. And we went to this place called the Bull and Royal, and I'd recommend that as well. Brilliant bar in Preston if you're ever in there, folks. And it was packed. I couldn't get in there for the quarter final, and I thought the little guy was joking when he said he can't let you in because there's 500 people in the bar. But when I went in for the semi final, there was inside and out 500, and we were sat in this bar in this room with this massive telly, and there were people like you couldn't move. We got there 2 hours before, so we could get a good seat. Got to the front, but it was manic. And first goal goes in for the Netherlands, obviously, and everybody's down. And then I've never had an atmosphere like it. I don't even think in a football match I've had an atmosphere like it when I've been at the ground. But anyway, singing and stuff, and then the first goal goes in and everyone's deflated. Then we equalise. And I felt this bit of wet on my shoulder, and didn't thought, oh, somebody's dropped the pint or whatever when the goal, when people throw them. The third goal, what we thought was the winner from Saka goes in again. Like you can hear cups being thrown and hitting the floor and beer going everywhere. But anyway, that was then disallowed. And when the Watkins winner went in, I was celebrating. Looked round, looked round for my dad because I was there with my dad, and just saw this froth of beer all over him. This guy behind us had thrown his whole pint over my dad's head. And it was one of the most surreal, funniest things. The whole pint was on his head. And he was just absolutely dripping. It was hilarious. There we go.
Oh, what a funny story. Well, thank you, Sam Preston promoter.
Preston, you clan.
I think that now is a good time for you to bring us home, Will.
And it's my thanks to JLIWheels, Sam Taylor and Robbie Broomhall for their company. The reason why this series sort of came about was a good friend of mine and friend of the channel, Ben Connie. We started this new blog called Ben's Football Folio. I recommend you have a look at it. It's so brilliant.
It's very good. I've read a lot of the pieces.
It's absolutely fantastic. What I'll do is I'll put it in the description, give it a link to his link tree, which is basically his Twitter, his Instagram, and his TikTok. And yeah, please do give that a follow, because it's absolutely fantastic, and we want to help our mates, you know, because that thing could get really big. So yeah, if you could give it a follow, that'd be absolutely brilliant. If you want to, feel free to like, share, comment and subscribe to the TubeMix YouTube channel. Join us next time for the big talking points from across the full football leagues. And it'll be all without having kicked a ball. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.